It's just the willpower needs to be there. First of all, the second thing that's really needed is the backing of the psychology of the nation, if you like. Those are the things that are not sort of synced, they're not comprehensively there. I think that's where I give my thoughts.
You asked a couple of questions. I'm going to take a stab at answering them. And let me see how this fits from your perspective. One potential answer is that the president's end game is a deliberate, covert effort to align with Russia and Iran to destroy U.S. global influence. Because, as you point out, Iran wants us out of the region, Russia wants us out of the region so that they can move in. One could leave that question lingering in the back of one's mind as a potentiality. Most of the people who have analyzed all this, such as the Council on Foreign Relations and others, are saying, no, Gary, that's not a possibility. That this is a classic case of strategic miscalculation, ideological friction, and entrapment into yet another forever war. So while the consequences of this conflict may inadvertently serve the interests of Moscow and Tehran, most of the assessments that I've read about it, because this is a question that's been burning in me, are rejecting the idea of some kind of an intentional accord, so to speak. So I looked at an analysis in Foreign Affairs, which is the publication of the Council on Foreign Relations. And that analysis suggests that when the president initiated the war early this year, he had an aggressive pressure strategy. And he assumed, perhaps naively, and maybe not perhaps based on the facts on the ground, that these massive airstrikes and the assassination of Khamenei would trigger a rapid collapse of the regime or force an immediate surrender. Well, that didn't happen. We know that instead of collapsing, Iran dug in. As others, Andrew mentioned, they've adapted their tactics. They choked off the Strait of Hormuz. And so the administration now is forced itself into a reactive military cycle with no clear exit. I don't know which one of those analyses fits best with you, Amir. The first one seems like the simple answer, but that's a pretty onerous suggestion. Maybe it's wrong.
Well, I mean, I'm not really into the sort of, conspiracy theories as such, which the first one kind of leans towards it, isn't it? But then the second one, I actually think it's a heck of a lot is at stake. I think the entire relationship between East and West is at stake here. I think the Strait of Hormuz will determine how America, who's the leader of the Western world, is going to be seen, and subsequently, as a result of that, the entire Western world, if you like, is going to be seen. So the relation, the dynamics between the East and West will change if America decides to throw in the towel. I mean, have absolutely no doubt about that. I don't know what you think about that, Gary.
I think it would be horrific if the United States threw in the towel, but I am in a minority, Amir. And so, as you pointed out, and others have before you, you can't win a war, you can't prosecute a war without the support of the populace. And this war was never sold to the American people. Hell, it wasn't even sold to the members of Congress. Hell, it wasn't even sold to the Republican members of Congress. And the contradictory commentary from the president, as I pointed out earlier, they're now saying, oh, the prices at the pump, they're going to plummet once we reopen the Strait of Hormuz, but the president claims the Strait of Hormuz is open. So, I've been taking it on the chin, quite frankly, Amir, in my social media postings for simply posting a statement made by the president. People just attack me left, right, and center. I'm not doing my job as a journalist because I'm not pointing out to people that the president lies every time he opens his mouth. If you just say what the president is stating, what he posted a minute ago on Truth Social, accurately, nobody's saying that I'm misstating or misrepresenting what the president says. Well, hell, I might as well be his press secretary because I'm carrying his water. People are not ready to buy in to this war because they do not like the commander-in-chief. I think that's my thumbnail analysis of it, Amir. I don't know, do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I fully understand the frustration that you have, in your job. I mean, obviously, the last time we spoke, you were equally frustrated when I said, don't take much notice of what President saying. He says, how can I not? And I said, you're absolutely right there. But then you have to look at the trajectory of what he does or the events on the ground and see where that is leading. For me, if America was going to throw the towel, why the hell would it knock down dozens of bridges feeding to the south of the country? I mean, that's just obvious. It's a very obvious question. By the way, nobody calls this a war anymore, which is quite interesting. I mean, they're firing missiles at each other, killing people, and all the rest of it. There are about 100 lorries now stuck at the bottom end of Iran. They deliver goods, and they want to bring back fuels. They're filled up with fuels, and now they're stuck because all these bridges have been destroyed. So it's obviously affecting the livelihood of thousands of people, and not to mention people who are losing their lives. And yet nobody calls this a war because they don't want, I don't know why Iran doesn't want to call it a war, by the way, because it would benefit them if they did call it a war, because it would effectively increase the prices in the West for oil. And I would have thought that's their advantage, but maybe because of the internal politics that they don't want to call it a war. I don't know about that. But I can understand your frustration. But at the end of the day, they have to make a decision on the fundamentals here at the high level. Okay, it didn't work out. There was a miscalculation. It's a bit like me going down the road. Okay, I hit a dead end. What do? Do I turn around and come back home? But maybe not. Maybe I look at Google Map and I find another way. And I think that's where we are. I would suggest to you, Amir, that was your first mistake. You looked at Google Maps. Why can't we pull out a Rand McNally any longer? People don't know how to read maps. Thanks, Amir. Sim, I guess you get the last word.
No, so I thought I just saw the news about the Houthis threatening Saudi Arabia
Yes.
cut off the Red Sea, and I'm like, what's going on there? Like, if these are the two major chokeholds, right? So a lot of the oil that leaves the Middle East get blocked by the Strait of Hormuz, which goes to the Asia, and then the chokehold for Europe is the Red Sea. So combined together, we're looking at 30 to 40% of all the world trade. Actually, to be honest with you, it's more than that, but that's what the official numbers are. But I feel like without oil, it has a ripple effect on every other thing, right? Like, oil is a basis of every economy, at least fossil fuel, that is. Is Trump not capable of getting the deal that he wanted? And why are we not looking at and anticipating this move by the Houthis, and what is it? What do you think the U.S. policy should be going forward? Because I don't know if two major strains or choke points of the world affected is going to be a good thing for any economy. And as not a citizen, but as a person that's engaged in the economy of the world, should we worry about another major economic downturn because of this?
So, the Houthis, as we all know, are rebels in Yemen, and they are controlled and financed by Iran. So this is a front that's being opened by Iran. They're putting a greater squeeze because they see that the petrol flow and the petrodollar is a choke point politically for the United States. So they have declared today an immediate and total naval blockade against Saudi Arabia. Do they have the capability of doing this? I don't know, but that's what they declared. So at the very least, they've opened a dangerous new front, expanding the war, and I will call it a war. So there was a televised video statement by the Houthi military spokesman announcing this maritime embargo under the equation of an eye for an eye. The move is direct retaliation for the Saudi siege on Yemen and the recent coalition airstrike targeting Sana'a International Airport. And so it places critical global energy corridors under a double squeeze now. And I don't know, I'm not a student of history to that degree, and I know the term unprecedented is tossed around cavalierly, but I do not believe that there's been such a double squeeze before. So you're absolutely right in your analysis, Sin. Personally, since you asked me, I think one of the biggest mistakes in all of this was the president's failure to put together a coalition of the willing before going in. I don't know what he was thinking. We do not have Europe behind us, even though Europe is being impacted by all of this. And part of this also has to do with his derogatory remarks toward NATO. Could he have affected the NATO allies paying their fair share and doing more to provide self-protection without embarrassing them on the world stage in the manner in which he did? I don't know. And maybe it was a necessary tool and an effective one, his version of the art of the deal, to get them off their rear ends to do what they needed to do. So at least what occurred as a result of this in that regard, I guess could be chalked up as a success of his administration. But the flip side of that is, what was the cost? And the cost, I believe, for what it's worth, I'm not an expert, others can disagree, but for what it's worth, I believe the cost is he alienated them so badly that there was no way he could go and ask for another coalition of the willing. Because if he had done it and had been turned down, he would have been embarrassed, and that would have made him a loser. And we know this president doesn't like losers.
So, can I be fair in your judgment and assessment?
I hope you are.
So, not to say that you're wrong. I think those are weaknesses that could be attributed to the current president, but wasn't it Biden who stopped Saudi Arabia finishing the job to get rid of the Houthis back in, if I'm not mistaken, in 2018 or prior to that, when Saudis, UAE, and all the Middle East countries were fighting. First, I think under, I don't know if it was Biden or Trump was in presidency, but the Saudis and the UAE and the Gulf Coalition had taken up the mantle in dismantling the Houthi threat, right? And the Biden administration put pressure on Saudi to and the UAE to stop that war, which now we're paying for. So could it be fair to say that it's not just Trump, but the past two U.S. presidents have not done their due diligence in really foreseeing what is now what we're experiencing?
So most of the analysis on that would suggest that President Biden never had a realistic military or political opportunity to use your term, eliminate the Houthis. Completely destroying that group was never an option on the table because they're deeply entrenched. They're 200,000 strong, and they control territory housing 80% of Yemen's population. So without going to war against Yemen, how do you do that? The Republican Party has suggested repeatedly that, and some Democrats as well, that Biden did a series of strategic calculations and policy shift opportunities to contain the group, and that emboldened them. But to suggest that he had the ability to eliminate the Houthis, most military analysts, not me, but most military analysts would say no.
No, I agree. I mean,
I'll get to you, Flo. We don't want to have time here. Go ahead, Sid. You gotta wait to your turn.
So no, I agree with you. It's porous mountains, hard to attack, but there was no outwardly support for the Middle Eastern Saudi Arabia coalition that was trying to remove the Houthis from power. I don't think the U.S. was involved, nor the European Union. And to be honest with you, and hindsight is 2020. But the Iranians bragged that they have control of 2 choke points of the world, and that they got the world in their hands, their balls. They were bragging that they were the superpower who could do all this.
Right.
And we did nothing about it.
So here's the
We
thing.
did nothing about it.
All of these problems, the ones that you are talking about, the terrorist attacks, October the 7th, all of that could have been avoided had this regime not been in power. And I think the president was predisposed to eliminating the regime, but the strategy failed. And now we are where we are today. And along the way, he didn't gain support from the Europeans, which might have helped. And he didn't sell it to the American people, which certainly hurt. That's my analysis, anyways, for what it's worth. Thank you, Sid. Glow, followed by William.
I would love to continue after they're done.
Glow.
I wanted to share just some news from Yemen. There's a new armed faction. It's called the Free Yemen Movement, and it has declared an uprising against the Houthis from inside Sana'a. We announced an armed uprising against the Houthi movement from within Sana'a due to the crimes committed by Iran and the Houthis. This uprising comes in response to the Houthi starvation, looting, theft, and killing of Yemenis, as well as their violation of, Yemen's sovereignty and the implementation of Iranian directives. Just that.
Okay, I don't know about this new use of the term Free Yemeni movement. The Free Yemen movement was actually the Free Yemeni movement. It's called Al-Ahrar, is that right? Do I say it right? That's an historical... I don't know anything about this new Free Yemen movement. I'd love to know more. So message me and tell me what you know. William, and I think we'll have time to go back to Seb.
I came up to basically Amir said that the States is the leader of the Western world. That's no longer the case. The United States is the wealthiest country in the Western world. The United States has the most powerful military of any single country in the Western world by far. But the United States has, as you were saying, Gary, broken their alliances. They've threatened other NATO members like Canada or the Kingdom of Denmark, threatening Greenland, which is part of the Kingdom of Denmark. The United States has changed from being the lead country within NATO to being the vendor to NATO. So the United States is no longer the leader, and part of that is really the Western world. The alliances are largely held together on economics and an ideological commitment towards democratic governance based on ideas of liberal democracy. And in this administration, there's been an attack upon the economic relationships with our allies, and there's been an attack on the national security, direct national security attacks on NATO allies, and the rest of the world is watching. Everybody sees this. People are paying attention that lead other countries. It's given a lot of uncertainty about our leadership and our commitments with our relationships with the East Asian countries. When we turn on our NATO allies, how does Japan or South Korea or Taiwan look at it? Well, yeah, Trump did get everybody to arm up, and Europe is increasing its military expenditures throughout Europe. Basically, the countries most close to Russia are spending the most, and Japan has changed their constitution, and they are increasing their military expenditures by a lot. South Korea is getting ready for war, and probably not doing it as seriously as they could, but all of our Western allies, the democratic allies that we had, are no longer looking to the United States for leadership, and they're beginning to look to each other and forming new relationships, new alliances, and basically trading around us economically to the extent that they can. We're a huge economic powerhouse. We've got the biggest economy of all of them, and they can't avoid us entirely. But they've been switching over to locally produced weapon systems to the extent that they can, rather than something rely upon the United States. Take a look at the European stocks, and take a look at what's going on in Japan and South Korea. There is a lot of increased investment, and the goal of that increased investment, by the way we have attacked our alliance structures, is less reliance upon the United States. So maybe Trump thought, I'll beat up on all these countries like a mafia boss, and I'll get them to all kowtow and buy more weapons from the United States. And to some extent, he's been correct. They have. And to a large extent, they have been diversifying away from us, and we have lost the trust of our former allies, and we're no longer the leaders. So I think that's important to recognize and understand.
Thank you, William. We'll go to Sin, followed by Amir.
Right. So, great stuff. So, I think, Greg, you might appreciate my use of this word. America's been going through not a civil war, but a political civil war, right? Where the Democrats and the Republicans are not in the same page regarding where America's future lies, right? So we're suffering from that, right? And the world is seeing that, hey, they're not united. There's such division, and different political groups around the world will buy off a political organization against each other in order to. So like the empire, for all intents and purposes, is dying, right? And that's not a bad thing. America should have never been an empire. America fought off colonialism, built its wealth and its status by not oppressing other countries, but within its own confine. Not unlike the British Empire or the French or the other European empire. So we're not good at this as Americans, right? We're not great at being imperial power and being world leader, and we should have never been involved in that. What happened in World War II with the British and the Germans, so forth and so on. Without going deep into the historical context, I would say that with great power comes responsibility, and we are responsible in how the world is going to be. We have a stake to play. Now, I think it's easy for us to just simply blame Trump, but I think he's reactionary, right? So he's reacting towards what he sees as a threat to what it is American power. And he's pressured the Europeans to take more action, but they said, no, we don't want to put boots on the ground. You got to beg us, you got to do all that. And maybe he lost patience. And maybe he should have been more patient, right? But the thing is, whatever it is, we're entering a multipolar world where power and structure are not only situated in one area of the world. Western power. The Chinese are coming up. The Russians have a role to play, and so forth and so on. We have to be realistic, and I think Trump is the only realistic man out there right now. Not to say that the way he handled business is correct, and I think he takes decisions off the cuff rather than having a more well thought out policy. But he's dealing with the situation that the world is. We have to forget. We have to get over. The center of power is no longer Washington, D.C. There are many centers of power, and this is going to continue for a very long period of time. And right now, who's hurt the most with the closure of the Strait of Hormuz is either China or Asian countries. Who's going to be hurt the most with the Red Sea Strait, Bab el-Mandeb being closed? Europe and North Africa, right? Where, all the wealth is accumulated, right? So who should be more responsible? It's the people that have a stake. America is a self-contained, insulated part of the world. We don't have a lot to lose here. The rest of the world do. And I think it's going to wake them up and take more responsibility that this type of action by the Iranians and the rebels in Houthi in Yemen, those are not contributing to a betterment of the world. They're not the group of people we want to see have a say in how this earth survives the next hundreds of years. We're not a best example. We do a lot of pollutions. We do a lot of crazy stuff and selfish stuff. I get it, but it's much better than the ideas of those countries. So right now, I think instead of blaming Trump and blaming America, the Europeans and the Asian countries need to wake up and see the path forward things to contain Iran and get rid of the Houthis. And I think the Houthis are the bigger threat to European wealth, and they should wake up and do something about it rather than complaining that Trump is not the greatest guy. He's done this, he's done that to us. No, now wake up and do what you need to do, which is to secure the Bab el-Mandeb, which is a choke point for 10-20% of the world trade. And also, let's also keep in mind that Saudi Arabia's diverted all their oil resources to the Red Sea, and they need to come out through the Bab el-Mandeb to go out there to Asia, right? So not only Bab el-Mandeb is important to Europe, it's also now important to Asia as a choke point. So rather than saying Trump did this, he broke this, let's move on. Let's figure out the way forward. Get rid of the Houthis. Like I said before, the Biden administration put a lot of pressures on the Saudis and force them to stop their operation. If they had continued to do their operation by now, the Houthis would have been gone. And what else did we do not to support the Saudi coalition or the UAE coalition? So we're paying for the past political mistake of the Democrats, as well as the now mistakes that the Republicans have made under Trump. So it's a sticky situation, but we got to move forward because the world economy right now is under threat, and that affects all of us here and everyone around the world. You know, the blame game is over. What are we going to do about this? This is my concern, Greg.
Thank you, Sid. I've got some breaking news.
Gary, sorry, that's it, Greg.
That's okay. I've got some breaking news that's directly related to today's discussion. The Pentagon now says nearly 100 U.S. troops have been injured in the last 2 weeks of the Iran war. The disclosure follows the New York Times report today that the Defense Department was withholding from the American people casualty figures. A report that the Pentagon attacked is inaccurate. And then suddenly they release these figures. So nearly 100 injured in the last 2 weeks of the Iran war. Amir, followed by Matthew.
Just very quickly with regards to what William said, I tend to agree with a lot of points that he made, but it has to be seen in the context of Trump window in the US. The US is much, much bigger than Trump, and that's something that often gets confused. From, for example, the UK perspective, US is still the leader as far as, we do the largest trade with the US, and we heavily rely on the US on the military side of things with NATO and the rest of it. And I think, to be honest with you, Trump, kicking out of the EU countries is not a bad thing. It has kind of paid off in terms of, their defense spending and so on, which needed to be done because it was just a bit ridiculous. I think all US citizens would agree that, if it was only the UK that was really, and France perhaps, that was paying the 2.5% at the time, nobody else was really reaching that point, and they should do. And now they are doing it way beyond, which is a good thing. So those are the two things. And one other point which William made, which I thought was actually, to some extent, was answering his own questions or comment or point, and that was that the fact that it's not just about the trade or the military, it's also about the system of governance, it's about values, about democracy, liberalism, and multi-party democracy and everything else. And I think in all of those, we are on the same line, and definitely in many of those aspects, US is leading, and I'm talking about US, including the window of the Trump, but well beyond and above that. Thank you.
Thank you, Amir. Matthew, followed by Alyssa.
Hey guys. Yeah, man, I don't know. The war is expanding. Trying to just go back to the topic of the room, but even if it expands, when I think of the Straits of Hormuz, for me, it's kind of like, imagine China trying to come to the Gulf of Mexico and controlling the Gulf of Mexico, like the ships coming in and out of the Gulf of Mexico or something like that. Like, the Straits of Hormuz, that is right next to Iran, and it's very thin, and Iran just needs, basically the smaller the better. The smaller the boats that they use to mess things up in the Straits, and the more the drones they have, they don't even need to blow anything up. They just need to deny safe passage, right? So I just don't see any solution except for the U.S. Navy actually leaving the Straits, and then Iran may reopen it, and I think that's actually what's going to happen. I think there's going to be some negotiations in about 2 or 3 weeks. There'll be more bombing. There'll be more negotiations sanctions, the U.S. Navy will pull back, and the straits may open again, and then Trump might go back to bombing it, and then the Iranians will close it again by simply creating threats. I just don't see. I just don't see any solution to it. It's very easy to attack. It's very easy to mess around with. It's classic, like, you know what it reminds me of is, during like the Revolutionary War, where the British troops would get off of their boats and they would all line up in one line, the American rebels, right? And the American rebels would be picking off redcoats by hiding in the woods or hiding behind trees. That's exactly what's happening in Iran. You know, it's just classic. It's classic. What do you call that? Guerrilla warfare. You know, it's asymmetrical warfare, and the geography allows the IRGC to win this fight. I don't think it's possible at all. Is it expanding? Maybe some troops might get dropped off in a couple of places in Iran to look for the nuclear material. But again, I think now there's Iran to build nuclear programs. Because they probably see it as a kind of regime survival now. So I think this whole thing is going backwards. It's all going in the wrong direction.
Thank you, Matthew. Alyssa, followed by Dude.
Real quick. So, Iran, I think, I know I can see it. Like Trump doesn't want to hurt the non-radical people of Iran. But he started something that is not going to finish easily because they are, how their oil was overflowing? They had to get rid of it somehow. And who's buying it from? People will just turn on the news or just, I don't know, open their Twitter or X. They'll see their one of their allies, China, is helping them, and Russia is supplying them with more stuff, and they never got that dust out, and so they're still creating nukes. So I don't think this is gonna end quickly. And I wish someone from, I don't know if I want to hear this from England, but if they could explain what is actually happening, because it's kind of gotten to them quicker, because they're over in Europe and other countries in Europe. I don't know facts, but just what I've heard of in England and seen happen. I wish Trump would have listened to all of the many retired generals that kept saying you cannot, which is obvious now, you cannot negotiate with these people. And that's all I wanted to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Alyssa. So you're right, Iran is actively attempting to rebuild and restore its damaged nuclear infrastructure. We don't know the extent of its success. There's a lot of debating about that, but I think there's universal belief that is exactly what's going on. Dude, you get the last word.
Well, I'll just say that I hope that it doesn't expand, but it does seem to be the likely situation that the world is currently facing. Trade corridors matter. There are probably other trade corridors that are being worked on building. Africa being a continent rich in resources. Russia and China and America are probably looking at different economic and trade agreements that will either dissipate.
You cut yourself off there, dude. You stopped talking mid-sentence. Go ahead, try it again. Apparently he's got a technical issue. Folks, we're here Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock New York time. So until 5 o'clock New York time tomorrow for the next edition of the Critical Thinking Forum. Everybody be safe, be well, and peace out.
place with equal access to citizen and non-citizen alike. That is a place.
I will open a room now. I will open a room. If you are a man has balls, no problem. I will open a room.
How's it going? Doing all right, man. Good to see you one time. Yes, sir.
Yeah, they're instant. But I've never had a problem, getting a PDF from an author ever, but
It's about society, though. It's not a prediction. I can sit there and say, yeah, in the next 250 years, there's going to be a war between this country and that country, and the chances that I'm right are significantly high, especially with how fucking countries operate. You're making blanket statements about society. You're saying, oh my God, that's the correct.
And he talks about water being one of those things that he brought into existence. We're not disputing that. The statement that the Quran is making, right, that God is making in the Quran, that God is revealing to us, right, is that, right, all living things in order.
These people, I mean, Neanderthals.
And this is why my title, y'all will
Neanderthals.
Yeah, right. What's he saying?
This is what they are. Look how they behave. Like Neanderthals.
Okay, tell me what he's saying,
Not
right?
just
Tell
the
me
one.
what God's saying in the Quran. The newer book. What's he saying? Tell me that again.
It's so easy, even the case.
All living things are created from water.
That's what he said. All living
Well,
things are created from water.
Bronco, can you recite the verse directly? So
Yeah,
that
he's saying that evolution is
Yeah, I'll pull the verse up.
Okay, so you believe in evolution, that makes
No. Don't speak for my belief. You don't have to speak for my belief. Let me say it like this. This is a police stop. Okay?
Evolution.
Let me say it like this. Okay, well, if evolution says it, right? Show me that prior to the Quran. Show me that prior to the Quran because that was the argument. That was my statement. Yeah. Show me any literature prior to the Quran that stated this.
Oh, I would say I already told you Genesis.
No, it does not state that. We already went over that. We're not talking about God creating water. We know God is the creator of all things. That's what Genesis is saying, okay? When water came into existence. We're not talking about when water came into existence. No, absolutely not. The dependency of water and the creation of human beings is what we're actually speaking about.
It was a dark void.
That's what we're speaking about. The dependency of water. And guess what? There was other things created before water, right? And earth was still earth with life.
Yeah, so it's just
With
the
life.
same thing.
Even in
It's just
Genesis,
a
earth was
small
earth
pot.
with life without
Yours
the
is
water.
the new
But God stated, but look at this. And this is why you all will regret.
It's on the rock, yeah.
Okay.
Listen to something. Look at the sky for a while. Didn't see any birds land up there. And butterflies that are eating my bones. Like I feel something to be painful and I'd be like, see, there's like a fly on there and it'd be like, yeah, and it'd be like two of them even.
I seek refuge with Allah from Shaitania curse. Did the unbelievers not realize that the heaven and the earth used to be one solid mass, that we exploded into existence, and from water we made all living things? What they believe.
I don't know, he says we exploded into existence on my thing said. Hey Ray, you're hot bacon. That's to be expected. So you guys are just arguing for evolution then when you say it.
No, we're not arguing on behalf of evolution.
Why not?
We're arguing on behalf that there's
How else
no
does God
God,
do it?
but
How else does God do it?
what?
How else does God do it?
How else does God do it?
Do the life that we see on the planet.
You said how by repeating it,
He doesn't use evolution.
by repetition.
Yeah,
doesn't use evolution.
By repetition.
Yeah, that's
Because, but you shouldn't believe in evolution because you
Evolution
think that they were able. Hold on. It wouldn't be evolution. It wouldn't be evolution, right? By your own admission, right? You said that it would be evolution by your own admission. It was either you or Mark. I don't know which one was talking, but right, it wouldn't be considered evolution when you agree to the notion that there was literature written and it was people able to discover certain things back then, right? That wouldn't be evolution, would it? If today, right, how would humanity evolve if the same things back in the day they have discovered, they're discovering today? That wouldn't be evolution.
Yeah, I don't know what you're referring to. Can you give me an example?
You said it. You literally said, what were we talking about? We were talking about, what point did I bring?
I don't know what you hear.
No. That's his point, evolution.
You talking about
So basically, what's turn your phone down? We have options. Remember, God don't remove our choice. But anyway,
that's okay.
He was talking about, he mentioned evolution, right? And he said we believe in evolution. I said, well, by his own admission, right? Because earlier he brought up when we mentioned the water thing, right? When we mentioned the verses in the Quran, the sign of the water, right? He brought up and he said, oh, well, this was written in Genesis or whatever, right? And I'm saying absolutely not. This wasn't written in Genesis, right? This is something that will prove evolution, rather than him saying, oh, what they did then is what they're doing today. That would be evolution because they're not evolving. Nothing evolved. It's the same shit from the past into the future.
What are you talking about?
Sure, you can act now.
You don't take a lot of meds during the day, do you? You usually just take a quick
No, I'm not you. If we're exactly, if there's evolution, why are things staying the same? By your admission, things are the same based upon you saying, oh yeah, we're talking about a new phenomenon. You're talking about something of the past. You're talking about something of the past. Yes. That you're saying, oh yeah, they had that information back then. That wouldn't be evolution.
Who had
You're so smart, you're stupid.
What information?
Say that again.
I just don't know what you're fighting about. Like, what are you fighting against?
I don't know what you're fighting. You said that.
All I said is you're arguing for evolution. That's all I said.
No, you're arguing on behalf of evolution.
Yeah, I am.
And we agree with you about evolution. And we agree with sure. That's the world evolved. We're not arguing on behalf of evolution. Sure, does the world evolve? Absolutely. Like you said that there's a God and that your homosexual ass or pedophile ass will be held to account or whatever you're doing. Only people who don't believe in God, respectfully, are the worst among society. You do some of the most detestable things. The detestable thing.
Yeah, you want me to show you the data?
The detestable thing. Well, let's show the data about how more white Americans are atheists. Let's show the data of that.
Did you know that it's mostly white Christian men that are
It's more.
Did you know that? Factual.
Well, theirs are reported, right? Because people don't go around saying, yeah, I'm an atheist. People don't go around saying, yeah, I'm an atheist.
Send me the studies
What they believe in when they fucking rape somebody or when they fucking look at child porn. They don't go around saying, I'm an atheist. This is why I looked at it. So of course it's going to be reported more. I know food, you dummy. Of course it's going to be reported more as far as churches and all of this stuff because they allegedly supposed to be Christian or whatever. The fuck, nobody is going to be like, I'm an atheist and I rape somebody.
Keep the mask on longer than that. You don't have to sit there.
Stop.
Hi, Ray. I'm happy to be here. In the name of God, I joined the house. Thanks for having me, Ray.
No problem. Huh?
Yeah, so it still sounds like, based on your reasoning, you would be arguing, in fact, for evolution, based on your reasoning. That's okay.
Hi, Ray. I've heard Honey Badger in other rooms, and he doesn't really say anything intelligent. He kind of just like does this put-down game, but doesn't actually say anything. He doesn't state any facts or any opinions. He kind of just like comes into rooms and just doesn't really say anything. So I want to thank you for leading the room. All praise God. Death to the atheists. They are low IQ. They are lonely, bored people, and I feel bad for them that they don't like to read books and they just come onto a conference call app to make their self-esteem, feel better. That's my observation.
Thank you, Progressive. I appreciate your input. I'm gonna chew on that, see if I can become better. We gotta hear that ding and that triangle in the background. I don't know, what would you call it? Philosophers, maybe? Or what do you consider Alan Watts? Ray, isn't that true? You love Alan Watts? Anybody who really is motivated, they take time, they really care about what knowledge is, how to obtain it, how to get more of it, how to think about it critically. Anybody who does that would be, by definition, a philosopher. It's just the dedication and the love for wisdom.
I love wisdom, and I read books. Many people in this room probably do not. But I was just reading about German ideology, Marx and Engels, and collectivists and socialists, and the horror and the terror of war. And it kind of strikes me that many of those people who were fighting to the death in Stalingrad, just 1 million people died. I'm sure there were atheists, and I'm sure that there were, theists fighting to the death, and they thought that what they were doing was moral and ethical, and maybe it would solve all the problems for all of mankind, and they'd say, we did it. I sacrificed my life to solve this riddle that so many people seem to struggle with, whatever that riddle might be. But when it comes to violence, I try to avoid it as much as possible, because if you're around violence, you could die. And so I prefer the comfort of my house full of books and conference calls where people can't punch me in the nose. But it just strikes me as amazing that people waste so much time having irreverent conversations over and over again, repeating themselves endlessly, as if it's like a video game that they just love, or one of their favorite movies like Terminator 2 or Back to the Future. And it just amazes me as I observe human behavior, how bored and lonely and, not creative people are. Pretty lame. I don't know what they're afraid of or what they're hiding. But maybe you're right, Ray. Maybe these faggot atheists are just pedophile loser faggots. It's just my opinion.
Theatrical, yeah. I don't know. Maybe these non-believers, they just do so many weird things. Like, I'm not weird at all myself. Maybe I go out there and I look at everybody and I observe everybody, and I'm not the fucking weirdo myself. Not one bit. Not me. It was good though. I liked the message, and I thought it was even good comedic timing, the way he dropped that gotcha at the end as a punchline. I thought it was pretty good. An 8, like a 7.9. That was good, because I did agree with the message. I thought it was pretty poignant, and I agreed with it. Most of it. That was cool. So thanks, Progressive.
nice and refreshing, you know.
On Kitover, sorry.
Yeah, well, whatever your name is, progressive, liberal, thank you so much for everything. Appreciate it. I guess that's why progressive liberals exist. Is to bring poetry, meaning, an open door, carrying hands, you know. So thanks. Really appreciate that, progressive.
You're welcome. Ray, I'd like to read a poem to these atheist faggot pedophiles who are extremely bored and lonely and who are uncreative. They don't create anything. They just come on here to kick guys like me to the goo or kick me from the rooms to make their self-esteem feel better. Like Honey, he'll say, oh yeah, John Kitover, he comes up here, I'd love it. He says a poem, and then he just like leaves and goes back down to the goo. But that's because Honey is actually a very effeminate man who doesn't have resilience or can't, even have a conversation with somebody, even if it's an irreverent conversation, because the truth is Honey is a very fragile person. He's very weak. He has no real strength and no real joy. And as a progressive liberal, I feel it's incumbent upon me to help these young men that the system failed, to make them stronger, to give them the joy and the wisdom that they are lacking as faggot pedophiles, losers and abusers and lonely people and non-creative people. I feel it's my calling in life to help these faggot retards.
I do appreciate your input, and I will I've been writing a lot of this down, so I'm gonna review this later tonight after I get back from church, and I'll be just kind of taking what you've shared with us to improve my vision. Thank you.
Not one person will think that you are a lunatic and a fucking weirdo yourself, progressive. Not one person is going to think that. You're not fucking weird. You're not some fucking bizarro crazy motherfucker online. No. Not you.
And I do wish you well. I hope your stand-up paddleboarding exploits are a service to you and others in your community. I know you have been running for Congress for quite a while now, and I hope you get in. I hope you made it. Wouldn't you agree, Ray?
Would I agree with what?
That basically when you say that, like if someone says, hey, everything that rolled with life had to have water beforehand, it came from water, that would be in line with evolution theory, correct?
Don't try to, I'm not going to let you escape the dumb statement you made. So,
Well,
you're trying to
you don't want to answer that
comfort
question.
yourself. Yeah, you're trying to comfort yourself right now.
Well, you don't want to answer that
But you
question.
know it's dumb as fuck.
Honey, if the human body is 98% water and you weigh 185 pounds, what's the molecular weight of the H2O contained within the cells in the skin of your body?
Like 140 pounds. 160 pounds. All right.
I'm just making a little joke here. Ray, I just want to thank you in the name of God for having this room. You attract the flies, just like horse flies to manure or squirrel poop or honey badger poop. You are like the candle that brings these mutant moths to the barnyard or to the church or the library, or what you might say, library. And I just want to read a little poem to all the lonely, non-creative faggot retards. It's called The Devil, and I hope that this helps illuminate you and teaches you a little wisdom about how retarded, how much of a faggot you are. To this key of grotesque and terrible aspect is attributed mirth. The devil is that horrible character of exoteric dogmatism which is so ridiculous to an enlightened person like Progressive Liberal here on Clubhouse. But deeper than this, the figure represents the delusion of outward appearance. Key 15 is the opposite of key 6. Hence, it shows what happens to us when we fail to use our faculty of discrimination. The ancients declared that the devil is God inverted. This refers... Hello?
They think we don't know any better. We see right through you.
You see right through me? What do you see if I'm transparent? Hello?
You see through, right?
Yeah.
See through right.
Hello? Well, since you don't like my poetry, maybe I could play you a little song on my Chinese flute as you look through me.
By the way, Progressive is a believer.
Interact with the stupidest fucking people.
What's your degree in?
I mean, technically I have a bunch, but I have political science.
Technically, you have a bunch of degrees. I've never heard anybody say that before.
Yeah, I have a political science, I have a journalism, and I have a generalized theology degree.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yes, I use my theology degree, and I used to use my political science degree.
What career do you have?
I teach history classes.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's horrible. College. I don't feel comfortable sharing that information.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Hi, this is Progressive Liberal. I'd like to say something about the title of the room, if I may, moderators.
Progressive, of course. Go on.
Oh my god, this fucking John.
Yes.
Hi, moderators. Thanks for having me on your stage. With regards to Muslims being saved, I just want to say that to a Christian, it's not really that important to save a Muslim per se.
I handled it like a champ. I just thanked him a lot. That was very good.
What did he do? Did he just sit there?
It's very funny. I mean, he actually,
Oh god. Room from hell.
The truth be told, the truth be told. I worry what the future holds.
So I just come out of there and then I come in here, it's Baghdadi too.
Well, since you don't want to hear my opinion about the room title,
it's evidence of Brahma.
A lot of evidence.
Is it evidence of Brahma?
I love the GCC made a song. Look at the trees. Look at the birds. Look at my dirty knees. I fall down when I climb these trees. I get mesmerized when I look in the sky at the birds that fly by. I get dizzy in a haze from climbing these trees. Trees, trees that
Oh, here we go. Now he told his position, he's going to go into attack mode. Okay, come on then, let's hear it.
Yeah, the funny thing that we both have in common is that we both agree that the magic happened.
No magic. Zero magic.
It just happened without a magician.
No magic.
You just believe it was.
Nobody believes in magic.
You both believe magic happened though.
There is no magic.
Not magic.
I'll do that guy in the corner with them. Go on a little ride with them.
Brother said Houdini was a great magician, guys. He wasn't factoring out. He didn't factor.
He's gonna pivot to evolution. He's gonna pivot to evolution. I totally know what's going on. One of Houdini's acts that he tried to trick people with, he died from, so he wasn't the greatest.
We call it karma's a bitch.
I want to talk to Baghdadi about the fact that we exist as mammals. Would you say we're animals, Baghdadi?
I would say we're whatever we are.
Are we animals?
We're whatever we are.
Are we animals?
I wouldn't say animals, but I wouldn't say not.
I wouldn't say no. I would say they were not.
I would say whatever we are. It's just how you want to look at it.
Definitely give her the option. Money and power.
Hey, let's see what's going on. What'd you say? What's going on?
I think this is for a few more days and then have it back.
Oh, okay. You're still in the States then.
Yeah. How do you feel about ranch dressing? I don't really fuck with it. Have you tried this bullshit calories? Ranch dressing is garbage, by the way. So apparently there's a thing.
Allow myself to introduce myself.
Oh shit, this is not who you think it is.
Hand raising.
Yeah, it's not who you think it is.
What's our next president in chief?
I just came to participate in a happy hour.
And then you're making our sad.
I brought my Chinese flute.
There were some unresolved sexual assault charges.
Projection mirror says what? The projection detection system has been activated.
Okay. So Viv. Did you try to
See, Viv, in America, ranch dressing is best used on a chopped salad or to dip your pizza in.
Have we really nothing else to talk about?
Let's start with this. Topic. Also,
with intent.
Let's do a quick toilet paper survey. Who here uses a baby wipe after they drop a deuce at 8 a.m. and throw that baby wipe in a separate garbage?
You do.
Get the flush.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Happy Hour, where Clown House users are confirming that they have shit on their ass right at this moment. Bidet, the guy doesn't even have a bathtub. He's got a walk-in shower.
If I get the parasite, I'll be very happy to have that bidet.
Everybody's talking about this explosive diarrhea salad parasite, and they just came out and said it was all fake news. It was alleged. It was presumptuous of the CDC to diagnose America with explosive diarrhea.
It's not pandemic, I guess.
Robert Kennedy at the CDC conference call, Kennedy was like, "We got a problem with explosive diarrhea. The salad's all infected with E. coli. Everybody's getting explosive diarrhea." Projection mirror says what? If I had a girlfriend, would I be in a conference call called Happy Hour instead of having her sit on my face right now?
That's a great question, by the way.
You have a wife, not a girlfriend.
Can you answer that, Austin?
Austin, I've been divorced 140 times. I'm currently single. Are you a matchmaker? Because I'm looking for a matchmaker that specializes in neurodivergent faggot retards. Who goes by Austin Powers in 2026? He's been proven to be a faggot retard.
I'm not matching with you. But so look, you just requested we match with faggot retards. What's the most faggoty retarded thing about you?
Oh God, there's so much. I don't even know where to start. Maybe the
Start at the beginning.
Well, I'm bald, so you know a lot of people like to say catfish, but now they're calling it bald fish. Yeah, the top. I'm starting at the top. I'm bald.
I mean,
I'm beautiful.
The spirit. What makes you the most faggoty retard?
Oh, my faggot retard spirit. Well, listen, I like to call it a HAP or an EAP, which are acronym for a highly annoying person or an extremely annoying person. And I think if you observe my behavior and cross-compare it with the behavior of other people on this app, you will find out that I am actually not a highly annoying person. That could be you. You could be that extremely annoying person, but not me. Hello? David, welcome to the room.
John, as you were pointing out there, but that's just a relative comparison. So, of course, when you're doing it like that, you're in a find that. So, let's go back to what you want to find in your future 141st ex-wife. Wait, you've been divorced before, Chicago?
Yeah, according to Maimonides, my favorite Jewish rabbi, I'm a divorcee 140 times over because every woman you've ever slept with is technically your cosmic wife.
Really? Yeah, your hand doesn't count. That's fucked up, by the way.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point, though.
Well, cosmically speaking, there's really no way to have an experience with. It's not important how old I am, Dr. Powers.
I guess 35, right?
No.
You say you work through, you tell me older than that. He's mid-40s.
Yeah.
Or 40.
I'm 43, and if you want to see my social security card, it's tattooed on my arm if you want to see
43
it.
minus 18, all right, so that's 25, right? And then,
Division.
yeah, so...
David, welcome to Happy Hour. What are you drinking, Dr. David?
So, Chicago, have you been to, I'm going to Paris next week. Do you have any recommendations in Paris?
Oh, go to the Bourgeois cafe and then go to the Proletariat nightclub.
Can you send me the link? John, have you ever been in a long-term relationship?
Austin, I've been engaged, and yes, I've been in long-term love affairs, Austin. What's your point, Doctor?
I'm just trying to figure out your numbers here, because, it looks like you were getting married and divorced every 2 months since you were 18.
Well, what's important...
So you denying that he has 140? Is that what you're saying?
He says he has 140 ex-wives. That would require him every 2 months to get married and divorced.
That's also your IQ score. Wow.
David, when we go to the hockey game, buddy?
With all due respect, I probably wouldn't invite you.
Well, thank you very little.
John, I'm going to challenge you to do something kind for a stranger today.
Really? Well, I've already done that actually. I got one of I won't go into too many details, but I did an act of charity this morning.
You didn't talk to someone else on the elevator?
No, I was a gentleman and I helped someone in a bind.
Okay, so Chicago, if you don't have any Paris recommendations, I'll be in London as well. Do you have any recommendations in London?
Oh yeah, go to the Playboy Club and see my ex-wife. Her name is
Mayfair. I've been to
Marhata.
that.
She's a key girl. She's an absolute perfect 10. Her name is Rose Marhata.
She's a London 10 though.
After I shoot.
Yeah, so I've been with more than a few girls from London, but none of them were British. They were all
London Bridge is falling down.
No offense to anybody in the room who's British, but these British girls, not so much.
Wow.
What do you mean?
So a London 10 is like a New York Donald Trump.
No.
What do you mean? Yeah, London 10 is like a New York City style.
David,
So you're from New York, right?
New York City 5? That's doing whatever.
David, when was the last time you had sex and you didn't have to pay for it?
I don't answer that question.
When has anyone ever had it not paid for it? Ever.
That's actually a good question too. FYI.
That is a good question.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm wondering how David views love.
When have you had it and not regretted it?
That's actually a good question too.
That's a good question. I've heard if you want to fuck her in the ass, that's how you know you love her.
Wow. Nah, man, I'm not about.
That's not one of those good questions?
No, that's not a great question.
What if you want to fuck her in the ass and you realize that in this scenario you are the ass?
Yeah, man. Once you go there, it's all over. Like it's downhill, in my opinion. But go ahead.
No, I agree. But I've seen some porno videos that made me rethink some of my past former sexual experiences, and I thought to myself, you know what? I would like to have tried that position with that person.
Wait, so Albert, do you have any recommendations for me?
With a little bit of surgery, you can get that like confident voice you're going for.
I've already shaved down my vocal cords.
So what about Paris or London? Do you have any recommendations? Yeah, enjoy it. It's great. They're both great cities. But yeah, I know. I've been there.
David, here's my recommendation for you. Update your Hinge settings to Paris, then London, and so have your...
I don't use Hinge.
Well, this is what you need to do. This is the recommendation. Because once you download Hinge and you do your photo verify and then you update your geolocation to Paris and London and you start swiping right, well, now you've built up a little social network, kind of like a conference call app for loser faggot retards that waste all their time and are bored and lonely and don't create anything called Clown House. Something you're very familiar with. Hello?
See, that was just straight up mean, man. Why are you being mean? Yeah, that's not nice. That's not nice.
Because when people come to me for advice, I give them good advice. But if they don't take my advice, well, then they just confirm my diagnosis of faggot retard. Hello?
Nice, man. Were you dropped as a child? Like, your mommy not love you?
So I actually have a recommendation, David, but I'll give it to you in private.
Yeah. You're a scout. Only it's better than a Playboy. Man, I don't know. I mean, there's no need. Like, do you not like him? And then, I mean, it's okay. But to be mean, just to be an asshole, that's not cool.
Oh, well, David was asking for some unfiltered advice. I thought I'd share some good ideas with him, but he's a lazy
What's up, Austin?
faggot retard.
I tried to buckle up, but you did not accept. I'm sorry, Vivian.
David's the kind of guy who's so lazy he doesn't even have a Hinge account. And then when I look at my friends' Hinge accounts, they are so lazy they don't even message the girls that they've matched with. I say just copy and paste a response. You're not even talking to people. God, you're fucking lazy. So welcome back to Happy Hour.
Oh, now he's gone.
Oh, they'll be back. They just wanted to share some gay little locations about where they can have
He's
their
gay, obviously, right?
best little gay sex.
He's gay.
I don't know. I don't think so. Yeah, he can orgasm in Paris however he chooses to orgasm. I'm not interested in his orgasm news.
Why are you so interested in calling him a piece of shit? That's what's weird.
I didn't call him a piece of shit.
You kind of did, man.
But I didn't say he's a piece of shit, did I? No, I did not. That's your interpretation. That's your assumption.
That's my direct way of listening to you talk to other people. It's very simple. That's how I do it.
Oh, that's your observation of my behavior.
It seemed like you don't like him. Like you're being an asshole to him.
Well, what did I say? What did I say that was so insulting to David Bobadilla?
I don't know what you said to him. You call it a fag and whatever, right?
Oh, a faggot retard is a term of endearment nowadays.
Okay, wonderful.
Haven't you ever been to a happy hour before, faggot? Oh, I'm sorry. I got my happy hour events mixed up. I thought this was the LGBTQAI plus happy hour. My bad, boys.
That's actually pretty funny. Go ahead. Keep going. I don't know why you're being
So I'm just saying that, like, if you've never looked up LGBTQIA+, and you don't know what the plus is, it means twin flame. It comes from a 1990s indigenous tribe that had rotating work assignments for both males and females. It's called twin love. Plus, inclusive!
I mean, you definitely have a creative mind, bro, which is good. I hope you're using it. Like, it's fun to listen, sort of. I hope it's productive.
Oh, it's super productive. It's more productive than David Bobadilla. Oh, by the way, I'm going to Moscow. I'm going to Moscow on Friday. Have any recommendations for me?
On your ass, bro. I don't know why they left, but it's cool. I would rather you not just badger people, but go ahead.
This is a happy hour, Albert. You know, people are here to take some shots, relax a little. They ran off to their little private. They'll be back. They got nothing better to do. What do you think they were here? They got nothing to do.
No, maybe they want to have some fun and talk about, interesting shit and not be berated or bullshitted. That's not, I don't know if that's in your vernacular.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
So you got all of these degrees on your wall, now you flow all of a sudden during the company. One can tell the truth.
I answered your question. I said yes.
You don't want to tell the truth, so just...
I don't have a problem with the truth. I
You don't
don't.
want to tell the truth, so just be quiet.
I don't have a problem with the truth. I just felt,
Because you're saying, oh, when this one? No, yesterday.
well, yes, absolutely.
Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome.
We have Mayor candidate John Kitover on the show. Hey everyone, welcome John Kitover.
Hello? Hello? Hey, this is mayoral candidate John Kitover. Hey, Max, how are you doing, sir? How's the campaign coming along?
The TV show is great. John, you did something that's very unorthodox, but also there's some throwbacks. There's a lot of, former Governor Mike Huckabee would play the saxophone. Bill Clinton famously would join him on stage too with saxophone and guitar. Can you tell the audience on your decision to start the John Kitover Band in the middle of your mayor's race?
It's right. Every time I go out on a Friday or Saturday night and I film a band, I automatically label them the John Kitover Band on YouTube.
Brilliant. So kind of like a Wu-Tang Clan situation where there's different iterations, different clans, every Thursday and Friday. That's really cool. How is the race, John? How are you feeling? What's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Rocky. I've always liked Rocky Road. I love the marshmallow, the fudge, the walnut. I mean, who doesn't like a good Rocky Road?
Yeah, it's great to keep things light. What are your thoughts on Israel versus Palestine? What are you thinking?
Well, Rabboni Shalom, I heard they have a New York City subway down there below the Gaza Strip, and they're still shifting munitions and fighting. Why can't we just have peace in the world? Rabboni Shalom. Shawarma for everybody!
Hello, buckets. They sell Gaza chicken strips. I think it's very clever as a dish.
Nice.
But, no, I was calling you. There's what's it called? Tishbav.
Tishbav.
Are you going to the white party in Guantanamo?
Oh, Rabboni Shalom, I want to meet a hot brunette Jewish chick named Tish.
It's a singles party.
Tish with a tush.
Actually, it's the date that I got married. And should have got married on, which that was the big mistake, because we got married on the holiday portion.
Uh-huh.
But the after portion is supposed to be very romantic. We're supposed to meet someone. But, yeah. Aaron Del Mar in the news.
Yeah, for what?
We'll find out.
What, the lawsuit?
The lawsuits. It's the David Pritchard's suing him too.
For what?
For so like the whole you saw the video of the whole getting arrested.
Yeah.
I think they have a credible. There's probably a credible argument. They probably know more than I do. that like Aaron probably leaned on his Palatine connection to make that happen. Because they're suing the city of Palatine, Aaron, and the guy that called him in. Because like they probably might have been enough to charge it. I don't know, but they charged him with assault. That's crazy. He got found not guilty, by the way. And I was at the trial, and I would invite you to live stream, but you go to jail if you live streamed it. But that judge looked like he wanted to kill himself the entire time. He's like, this is so embarrassing. He told both sides to shut up. You're hurting your case. Stop talking. And when I look at the judge, his name is Nowitzki. He's one of those judges they got demoted for. He basically would let off 2 people that ended up murdering. He was domestic court judge. And 2 people he puts slaps on the wrists on, during domestic violence trials. They end up murdering their spouses or significant others. And so they demoted him. And so he was on freaking Dave Pritchard, Palatine's GOP trial. Kill me. The entire time, hands on the face, smirking, angry contempt, yelling at all the lawyers. So it's pretty interesting. But basically, I talked to the Dave Pritchard side lawyer, and he texted me straight up. They're suing Aaron. And are we on the podcast?
Yeah, you're live on the clown. You're live on the clown show in the clown world.
I want to bring some news. It's some news that we're getting. This lawsuit is actually funded by Brian Castle because he's upset that Aaron removed his son from the person.
Welcome to clown world.
But really, all politics, all politics is local. That's not true. All politics is petty.
Welcome to clown world.
Tell them what you want. What's the order of the day?
Oh man, that's exciting news.
Very exciting news. And I got to read some articles. Do my thing. I got my new startup company. I'm very excited about. And life's good.
What's our Polymarket investment fund doing this for the rest of the year? I think we're gonna make some bets on Polymarket.
I'm sitting in Kalshi, and I've just been earning the 4%. I haven't made a bet in a couple months. I made a bunch of March Madness spots, and I think I won by. I basically bet on a bunch of different teams, and I think I came out on top by 10%. Let's say I was putting 500, I made 550, and I'm we're gonna. So my biggest bet I made was on Bob Triani. I made $250 per dollar. I fucked up without telling you that. And so basically, Bob Triani was trading at 75 cents, but he had Andy Williams was his only opponent. He was running as a right.
Oh my god.
So that was pretty low. That's the thing with Polymarket and Kalshi is the key is look for the micro markets, markets that have less than $10,000, $15,000 in it, and then try to find the Bob Triani stuff that just is it doesn't make sense because it's so small. And the difference between Kalshi and Polymarket is you're more likely to see that on Kalshi because Polymarket is basically you have to put up the money to make the market versus Kalshi puts up their own money to make the markets. So basically, the community is hey, I want to put a market for mayor's race, whatever, and then Kalshi has to give the green light. Versus Polymarket, I'm pretty sure you on your own, you can say, well, John Kay will be mayor. But that could be interesting too, is because I think the opportunity for you to make money is maybe you can kind of create be a market maker. That's my name on Kalshi. I'm a market maker. Do you know what Harpo? That was my favorite from the Marx Brothers, dude. I'm a huge Harpo fan.
I was just reading.
Pretty lady. Yep.
Yeah, Jerry Lewis. Oh my God, he ended up being a total jerk. Did you see? I saw a video of his daughter.
All the charity people were probably weirdos, like him and Bob Hope and.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard Bob Hope.
And his movies don't he basically was the Adam Sandler of his time, but his movies don't they don't stand the test of time. I could watch Duck Soup tomorrow or Animal Crackers and laugh my ass off. You watch Marx Brothers tonight, you'll laugh.
Yeah, I've got DVDs on Marx Brothers, but you know who they say? You know that movie Eyes Wide Shut by Kubrick?
Yeah, great movie.
They say that.
Okay movie.
They say that the guy who was throwing the elite sex parties, that's supposed to be Bob Hope.
Yeah, they say that. Yeah, they say Bravo was a bad man with all the USO stuff and going overseas. Like, think about how much more shit you can do in the war zones.
I don't know about that. I'm just saying that, like, if there is some kind of like elite cult or something like that, like they say.
Do you know about that happened in Serbia and Kosovo? When they basically there was the allegation that basically elite people were paying. There was that war going on, the conflict in Yugoslavia, whatever, and like rich people were paying money to just snipe people. Do you hear about that?
Yeah, I've heard about that. Did you know it took 750,000 Soviets that died in battle to kill 250,000 Germans in Stalingrad?
I'm not surprised.
So 1 million people died in bloody glory for.
Yeah, they wanted them to die because they.
For what?
So the commies just don't care about human life, and they were literally giving them more. You get a rifle, you get some ammunition. It was complete bullshit, and because they really think that like the central planning, whatever, the central committee, like the GOP, like should have all the power and like should plan everything. And it's hard to plan everything because so many people. So that's why the commies always go on depopulation route or like the education camp route. It's because like, it's much easier to plan. If you have
I mean it's true. You wipe out your future political enemies in the mass casualty battle. But anyways, I was going through a book today. But so the campaign to elect John Kitover, I'm gonna update the antidote.
When can you do you make it official? Because then I think you should start like texting Shia and really get some press.
It's official when I start putting up videos of me collecting signatures.
When are you gonna like make your file?
There's no file, as you said. I just submit my petitions. That's it.
If you're never gonna submit well, I guess you are. You're gonna submit like 3 petition sheets.
Yeah.
But you're only gonna be a candidate for a month. I think you should try to.
No, I'll submit. I'm gonna submit. Like I'm gonna get a couple petition sheets and go downtown and just submit. That's it.
Smart. And I'll be writing after you get kicked off.
Absolutely.
No, I'll be writing for as many days as possible, as I said. And then, there's a chance I might run for alderman. Because I still like alderman. I don't know. Maybe it's such a waste of time.
I'm going to do a lot of publicity. I'm going to shoot a lot of videos at the Thomas Jefferson Copper Bronze Memorial. And I'm going to have my petition sheets there. I'm going to say, if you live in Chicago and you are a patriot, come to Jefferson Park today to meet candidate John and sign the petition to liberate Chicago on the Constitution held by Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah, and I think you should be the leader of like a movement. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's got to be a movement. It's basically like starting like a political cult.
And a little bit.
I mean, look at Marx and Engels. Marx and Engels kept saying that it's not the bourgeois that's going to lead the revolution; it's the proletariat.
If there's any hope, it's with the proles.
So I gotta connect. That's why I've decided to go full on LGBTQ, AI plus, because I realize that I need as many votes as possible. So I'm going to embrace what I consider to be illegal and unethical and immoral behavior, which is same-sex orgasm or attempting to have same-sex orgasm.
Jews should run for office. That's why I say Jews should run for office. You force you to set out to win, kind of. But I support it.
Because you see, there's so many fat, ugly faggots in the LGBTQAI plus movement that they can't even achieve orgasm. So they're not actually gay because they can't successfully.
It's not a community, dude. It's not. There's no community based on actions. You know what I'm saying?
What do you mean? They got Pride Month. That's the month of action.
I'm on the push-up community. Like, what the fuck, dude? Am I in the push-up community now? Can I do push-ups?
Well, if you go to the gym,
ridiculous, man.
I realized today I was at the gym and I was like, I would rather invest more time trying to meet people or hot chicks that come to this gym than socialize on Clown House with a bunch of losers who repeat themselves all day, every day, and do the same stupid shtick.
Smart. 100%. Your mind's in the right place.
Yeah, because I'm like, wait a minute, I have a community here at the gym, and I'm not even meeting all the hot chicks that I see like every day. Why don't I introduce
And a
myself?
lot of them have similar interests. There was a girl that was very good looking in my gym, but I was engaged at the time, so I wasn't entertaining anything. But it turns out she was like wearing Trump stuff out of nowhere. Like, you never know.
Yeah, I saw a hot chick at the gym with a black Trump MAGA hat. Like, couldn't tell it was a MAGA hat unless you looked really carefully.
I feel like the gyms are like lean way right. When there's like a few like random Kaepernick types, or like if like a dude will like wear a Kaepernick shirt, or like there's this lesbian at my gym that will be like who brought who's eating all the pussy, who ate all the pussy, like she'll wear that shirt to the gym. I'm like, okay, it's a little bit vulgar. But one thing is, like, I do think gyms are like 70% conservative values. What do you say? 60 even in Chicago.
There's a lot of liberals at the gym, but
A lot of Republicans in my gym.
there's a lot of Latinos at my gym. I hear a lot of Spanish at my gym.
Interesting. But you're a little west. It's a west. A little Spanish, not that much Spanish.
So I think I'm gonna file August 10th.
Is that a date of specific? Is there something happening on August 10th?
No, Rabboni Shalom, 10 not 11, 10 not 9.
Okay, let's do it. I'm excited. 10's a very halachic number.
Yeah.
10 commandments.
Yeah, 10 Sephiroth, 10 divine lights of emanation.
Exactly. Exactly. 10 Sephiroth, man.
I read the 10 Commandments on the rooftop at Chabad, and I was like, took a photo of it, and then the next day I was talking with these atheist faggot retards on Clown House, and I started reading the 10. I was blown away at how angry they got, and then also how logical the 10 Commandments are, and how they can't really like get around.
No. It's like don't disrespect God. They like really offended by that. It's like, really? You want us to respect all your bullshit? All the pronouns, all the, like, microaggressions. But, like, it's almost like putting water on a witch. I think because the Bible is the ultimate truth, it is like a vinegar baking soda situation. It, like, repels. And Job 20:28 is that understanding that the foundation of wisdom is the belief in the Lord, and the compelling evil is understanding. The foundation of wisdom is belief in the Lord, and compelling evil is understanding. And so that's why people don't realize that, like, when you're talking shit to some of these heathens, like, you never do that out of hate. It's like no different than just like doing a chore. Like you should always do so out of love when you're talking to these people. But that's kind of why, like, you have to realize that you're doing them a favor, and you can't let them suck your time too much. That's why I don't go to the townhouse. I don't hate those atheists. They're just idiots.
Oh, I like mocking them, but they say if you have a deficit with the ladies, they say to study Torah because then you become irresistible.
Who said that?
It's like in a hymn or in a maxim book that I read. Like, if you want to become irresistible, read the Bible.
Yeah, because it's the truth. And you don't want to attract a bunch of Jezebels. You'll like attract like. It's absolutely a good move. It's never been a bad thing to study Torah. It also enhances all the mitzvahs. Because a lot of people, including atheists, they do good things by accident. So, like, why not? Like, I'm sure you or me, like, I've accidentally cooked a good dish all the time. Because, like, I'm a home chef. I do my thing.